All right, John, welcome to Diamonds in the Sky.
Yep.
This is your first time we've had you here in person.
Yep.
Your thoughts so far?
Awesome. Straight up awesome. I'd heard about it. I'd heard about the families that put it on, Philpott families, and I heard about the cause. So, it stretched pretty far down to Townsville and beyond.
Yep.
I knew what it was about. I knew the general consensus about what it was about. But to come here and see it firsthand and be a part of it, it's blown the expectations out of the water as to what message they're trying to get across. And seeing it firsthand, seeing the people involved, passion involved, it's been pretty humbling and inspiring at the same time.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
So your story it was documented in an article.
Yep.
Earlier in the year. So
Yep.
what has been the response to that?
I'm not on social media.
Okay,
However, I do have friends that are.
Yep.
Like every second, well, nearly every person is. But I did jump on via my wife's account.
Yeah.
And I had a look, and I was a little bit nervous. I was like, well, yeah, but sort of put myself out there.
Yeah.
But the feedback was good, and but it wasn't necessarily the comments or anything on social media networks. It was more so the feedback I was getting from people face to face. So, to give you an example, there was people at work where they didn't know so much of my history. So I've been at work 11 years, and then they knew I played football, but maybe not the level or extent I went to.
Yep.
So it was kind of like, whoa, it was kind of a wow moment for them and an eye opener for them.
Yep.
And it sort of opened up, I guess, new directions for more discussion with them, So
That's it.
yeah, feedback was good.
That's good. So obviously you told your story at the opening ceremony here at Diamonds in the Sky.
Yep.
Is that a story that you tell to any other groups?
No, not that one in particular.
No.
I have been involved in events like this,
Yep.
and I was just saying to some people I was catching up with, this one, it meant more, and honestly I didn't realise it until I stood up there and I saw familiar faces to come home where it all began, where it all started, and it was very humbling and inspiring, to use that word again at the same time. So no, it wasn't the same story. I've used my story basically from football onwards, but it just happened on the spot. When I stood up there, I said, no, we've got to go deeper. Yeah. And I was like, I'll give some insight as to where I was from, but what got me to Innisfail. Mm-hmm. And then, football took me from Innisfail to Townsville. Yep. So no, I got more personal. It was the first time I'd spoken about my son who'd passed away in a public forum ever. So, like I said, man, for me, giving back is awesome, but I'm also getting something out of it too. Yep. Especially on that one. That was really close to home. Yeah, it tickled the heart.
It's good that you shared that. I think a lot of people took it in, and you did say at the end of it, you weren't sure whether you're sending a message, or you were just telling your story, and hopefully someone gets something out of it. So.
Yeah, that's right. Coming up, I was saying to my wife was saying to me, like, what are you going to say? I honestly didn't know. Yeah. Of course, you have some idea of, you're going to talk about football, and you're going to talk about the hard times, but you're wondering, how deep you're going to go, and you're wondering how, what sort of really you're going to sort of let out, Yeah. And I sort of wanted to come into it just to be like, no, I don't want it to be written or scripted or pre-planned. I honestly just want it to be from the heart, honest, and I think I got that across. And that's what I was saying at the end. I really don't know if I was trying to push a message or promote something, or maybe just what I said. If someone can get something out of the story, and it maybe deviates them, if they're going down a shonky path or a dark path, if they get something out of that and maybe gets them into a lighter path, then man, job done.
Yeah, that's it. Okay, so we'll go back and talk about your growing up playing football. So who are some of the players back in your day that you remember playing alongside?
Oh, it's a good question. That is a good question.
A while ago?
Well, when I started playing, I played rugby league because I loved it. Yep. So I wasn't one of these families that his father played rugby league and his father's father played rugby league, So I come into it because a friend of mine said, come and play, and I loved it, It wasn't until, if I had to give you names of players, it would be more local. There was a guy here, Michael Mitchell. Mm-hmm. He was a local legend. He was a couple of years older than me. I wanted to be like him. That dude could play. He was one of the guys that never went on for whatever reason. I think he had a few trial matches for upper grades, but he was a savage. He was a good player. There was another guy from Townsville, Royston Lightning. He was another guy that was a phenomenal player. Yep. And then to give you some names that I'm looking at as I was coming through playing, Gordon Tallis, man. you know,
Raging Bull.
Yeah, mate. Yeah. So when I was in Townsville and he was second rower, I was second rower. I looked at him and was like, wow, that dude's unbelievable. So guys like Gordon Tallis, Bradley Clyde, he was a worker, Nathan Hindmarsh.
Yep. Oh,
them type, them type of guys.
Yep.
You know, I looked at them and be like, well, you know, you got to step your game up if you want to go somewhere in this game, because those guys are pretty awesome.
Yeah,
you know?
they were.
That's just to say a few, but there was, you know, Tallis was always there. Yeah, he had that X factor about him.
Yep.
And then the Bradley Clydes of the game, he was your workhorses.
Yep.
And I said Hindmarsh, didn't I? So yeah, he was pretty workhorse as well, man.
That's it. You also mentioned in your story, so again, growing up and being here in town. So who are some of your role models that you look towards, not only in life but in sport, music, career?
That's a good question. Are you talking like just from town here, or
from
just
anyone
like during the journey sort of thing?
Who's someone that you look up to that you say, no, I can thank them for?
Man, definitely my first two rugby league coaches.
Yep.
Bob Lee, he's from Innisfail, and Carlo Costa. Those guys took on, you know, a pretty rough around the edges type kid.
Yep. And
through rugby league, I received their message also, not just from coaching, but I probably implemented their coaching stuff on the field into my life.
Yep.
And that sort of set me on a proper path. There's another guy in Townsville who I lived with after I burnt out 2 families. They took me in. I was 16-year-old, you know, rough around the edges, very rough around the edges. So Kevin Butler was his name. So I looked at him. So I never had the father, so he acted as a father figure.
Yep.
And so these people sort of come into your life at just the right time.
Yep.
Have to give a shout out to the Philpott family, man. Like they provided a family when I didn't have one.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And as did John Edwards, he's from here. His family was my family. So those people there, I looked up to them. They inspired me.
Yeah.
Also, I'd be wrong if I didn't give them a shout out as a part of the journey, you know?
Yeah.
And I got to Townsville. My school principal at the time, believe it or not, I was never a teacher's pet. But when I went to Kirban High, I befriended the principal there, and he's passed on now. But he was inspiring, you know. And then the guys in the football realm, it's hard to really say. You know, I drew inspiration. It was like I drew inspiration away from footy and then brought it to footy and sort of made my way that way.
Yep.
You know, there were people I looked at and said, that dude's a good player.
Yeah.
Oh, that dude plays well. But there was never, I can't recall a player where I was like, you know, that's the dude, you know what I mean? I actually drew inspiration from external sources.
Yep.
You know, particularly that's what inspired the music as well. You know? So, that's the best answer I could give you.
No, that's good. So, transition now. So, looking back with your rugby league career, obviously that came to an end.
Yeah.
So, what made you look at music?
Music was always there.
Yep.
It was always there. It was even when I was here. John Edwards, he's from here. He and I were just music buffs.
Yeah.
You know, he was into his R&B. I was into more the hardcore rap scene.
Yeah.
You know, and it just evolved from there. Turns out that, you know, we went from a couple of kids in a bedroom making music. You know, we had some like busted up recording stuff.
Yeah.
And then we could actually, first time we heard ourselves played back to us, recording over beats and stuff.
Yeah.
So the music was always there, even during the footy.
Yeah.
So when I wasn't playing footy or training, I was doing the music.
Yep.
I actually enjoyed the music more. It felt more of a release, you know. So, and I didn't realise it, but I found to me, like when I did the music, trying to write something that I thought other people would enjoy, that was hard.
Yeah.
But when I wrote what I was feeling, that was easy.
Yeah.
It was I don't know. So for me, the deep and meaningful, the heavy stuff was easy to write about. But little did I know, man, that was helping me along the way as well by getting it out.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah, music was always there.
Yeah.
It took a backseat during footy, and then when footy finished up, I was like, well, I had a lot of, how would you put it, anger, rage.
Yeah.
You know, I had a lot of stuff to say.
Yeah.
And fortunately enough, you know, I came up with a way through rap to sort of get it out.
Yep.
And at the time, it was just me letting loose. But you know, looking back on it now, I go, well, yeah, I think that helped.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I didn't bottle it up.
Yeah.
I actually got it out. I wasn't talking to any one person. I was talking so anyone could hear.
That's it.
You know?
Yeah. And I suppose you touched on, your single Scars.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what you just said. You just wrote down what you were feeling.
Yeah.
And it's a good track.
Yeah,
good
thanks.
single.
Cheers.
And it just comes naturally just like that. So
it did, man. That was one of the easiest ones to write.
That's it.
I remember every song sort of has its own memories. So I heard the beat. I actually made that one myself. I didn't make a lot of my own beats.
Yep.
That one there I actually made. and it was like I knew it had a deep, meaningful feel to it. And I was lost for a while. Like, what am I going to write to this? And a good friend of mine, Lee, his name was, he said, "What about your footy, man? Like, what about your footy? Like, there's some history there." I went, "Oh yeah." I was kind of fobbed it off. Before you know it, a night or two later, the pen just done it. I was just writing. You know, and it's one of them things you kind of go into a bit of a trance where you're like, "I just got to finish it," and it just kept coming, and it kept coming, and it kept coming. And then you can't interrupt that when that's happening. You know, that's the creative juice flowing. You just got to let it flow.
That's it.
Yeah.
Any last advice to anybody who may be in a similar situation or position to yourself moving forward?
Yeah, man. It would be like, you know, don't go through it alone. Like, honestly, man, speak to someone. There's that much available now, but it has to be real. You know, like if someone's out there and they're wondering who to turn to, and maybe they don't want to go to your normal program type stuff. You know what I'm saying? But if it's through music, if it's through sports, if it's through some other type of outlet, performing arts or something like that, if you have an outlet, find it, use it to benefit yourself, use it to, you know, get your voice heard. And, you know, we're not out for fame or fortune here. For me, it wasn't for fame and fortune. It was more of I guess, looking back on a healing process, you know. So my advice would be, turn to someone, say, "Hey, man, I'm going through this. What do you think of that?" But don't be ashamed of saying it. I would say, like, you know, own it, if you know what I'm saying. Own that pain, so to speak. Own it and use it to your advantage. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Well, thank you.
No worries, Patrick.
Your story is a remarkable one, and it's something we're very honoured that you shared with us.
I appreciate it.
And we'll hope to see you back in future carnivals.
Awesome. Yeah, man, I'll come back. Happy to contribute.
Definitely. All right. Thank you very much.
No worries.
Done.
Awesome, man. Cheers.